Come celebrate Cinco de Mayo, Thursday, May 5th at the Cache County Fairgrounds. Take part in the Mexican culture with traditional Mexican folk dancers and singers. Enjoy the rhythm of mariachi bands and move to the beat of Zumba. Choose from several food trucks to satisfy your appetite and incredible, authentic Mexican treats. Bring the kids. We've got bounce houses, climbing walls, a mechanical bull, and traditional Mexican piñatas. The party gets started at noon on Thursday, May 5th. Cinco de Mayo is presented by Members First Credit Union. Our name says it all. Auto Leave, now hiring for all northern Utah locations. Auto Leave saves lives. DD Auto and Salvage, scrap metal to automobiles. DD Auto Salvage gives you money for your old metal. Celebrate Cinco de Mayo with the community this year at the Cache County Fairgrounds. Thursday, May 5th from noon till 8.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Go! Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Good morning and welcome to the Garden Guide. This is Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden, and we're looking at another rainy day, but you know what? The rain is very welcome. We'll take it. We had a little bit of sunshine, and we've got more coming is what it looks like. So, you know, this has been a kind of an up and down week, but, you know, having a little extra snow in the mountains is never going to hurt anybody, and it's a great time of year to be outside and do some planting. And, of course, at Anderson Seed and Garden this weekend, it's our spring open house. So our spring open house has been ongoing since Thursday. We've got some great deals going on a bunch of different plants. We've got some good sales going on, some different fertilizers and some pest control and different things that you could use right now for your garden. Got a great weed and feed fertilizer that's on sale. We've got some weed control. We've got tree and shrub drench is on sale. We've got grass killer. And when it comes down to the plants, we've got strawberries, Pony Packs, Jumbo pack strawberries are half price. We've got a great deal on 4-inch, basically 3.5-inch, 4-inch geraniums, and they're $1.79, where they're usually about $4. And we've got primrose are still on sale. They're buy two for $4, so 2 for $4. Really good deal on the primrose. And hanging baskets are on sale. So we've got some 10-inch hanging baskets. They're normally $26.99, and they're on sale for $18.99. So a lot of great things happening at Anderson Seed and Garden. It is our 80th anniversary or 80th birthday, whichever way you want to go. We've been here in the Valley for 80 years now. So my grandmother started the store in 1942. Yeah, can you believe that? 1942. And we've been going ever since in the same location. And, of course, things look a little different than when Grandma was here, but we couldn't have done it without her and also without my parents with all the help that they've done. And we've just kind of kept things rolling, my wife and I. So 80 years.
That's a while.
It is. It is. I know there's some businesses in Logan that have been around a little bit longer, but we're kind of one of the oldest. We're third generation, so we've been going for quite a while, and hopefully we'll go for a little bit longer.
That is, Mark, I know this is rare for your show, but I came into a note with a question from a listener already.
Oh, yeah.
Someone had called and said they were going to be able to listen today, but wouldn't be able to call, and they wanted to know if we could ask this question during the show.
Yeah.
And the question was about remix, about rejuvenating potting soil?
Yes.
Is that okay?
That is a thing, yeah. So there's a really nifty product that we have, and it is called Remix. And it comes in a couple different size bags, and what it is used for is for recharging your potting soil. So let's say you've had some bigger planters or some smaller raised beds or something, and you've been using that soil for a while, and you'd like to rejuvenate and recharge that soil without having to put a lot of stuff in there. Because if you're doing a planter, sometimes the soil will kind of not shrink, but it as it decomposes over time, it will lose volume, and so then you've got empty space in there, and you can put some nice new soil back in there and add some new soil.
Huh.
Sometimes it doesn't lose volume, and you still want to add some stuff to it to get things going. Maybe you don't want to tear a whole bunch of the soil out and put new back in there. And so we have this product that's called Remix, and the Remix is like ultra composted compost, and so it's very, very nutritious. It's full of all kinds of minerals and micronutrients and full nutrients and a lot of natural biology, microbes and microorganisms to rejuvenate that soil. And so you put a thin layer over the top of your planters, about a 3/4 inch layer, and then you can work that into the soil, and it will put all that nutrient back into the soil. So it's great for raised beds. It's great for planters. Hanging baskets. Anytime you have some existing soil that you want to rejuvenate and get going again, the Remix, you could mix in that, and boom, all of a sudden your soil from last year that's been used and probably depleted of nutrition will build that soil back up, and away it goes.
I'm sitting here thinking about all the times I swapped the entire soil collection out.
Yeah.
Instead of doing this.
It's usually better to put brand new soil in, or at least put some new soil in, because the soil from last year doesn't really absorb and hold moisture as well as from the year previously. Okay. It's going to lose some ability to absorb and retain moisture, so it's always good to add new soil in. But if you really want to recharge that soil and turn it back into a great place to grow plants again, the Remix is amazing. Yeah, it really does a great job. So great question from one of our listeners. So not only is it our spring open house and our 80th anniversary at Anderson Seed and Garden, but we've got a great guest on the show today. So Daniel with VPG is here. Thanks so much for showing up this morning.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
It's always great to have you on the show, and you just happened to be here for the open house, and I just happened to forget to invite you to the radio show until this morning, last minute. So that's awesome that you could show up and be here with us, because we've got some great products from Verloam and from High Yield that we're featuring for our open house this year, and there's some things we can definitely talk about.
That's right, absolutely. We had lots of people in yesterday, lots of good questions. So
I was surprised how busy it was yesterday.
It really was. It was a good time to come in and chat, and we were able to have longer conversations with people.
We weren't overwhelmed.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everybody was able to really get all their questions answered, and it was great.
Yeah. So a lot of volume of people coming through, but we had plenty of employees, and of course, Daniel was there to answer questions, and we were able to spend as much time with people as we really felt like was necessary.
That's right.
And I think they would be able to leave saying, "Oh, they really spent some time with me and helped me, figure out whatever problem it was, and here's the solution that I need, and here's how to use it." And some days it's not like that.
That's right. Well, everybody left very happy. And that's really it. We got to spend time with them, make sure they felt confident in the products, and that's what's going to become successful.
Yeah.
That's our goal.
Yep. And I saw a lot of people go out the door with some gorgeous hanging baskets, and I saw some beautiful flowers going out as well too. So hanging baskets, our 10-inch hanging baskets are on sale. We've got a coupon that went out in the mail this week that is for a flat of whatever flowers we've got in stock right now. And of course, not all the flowers are blooming. We saw some beautiful marigolds going through the store, but I saw a lot of petunias that had buds coming on them. They just weren't quite open yet.
Lots of potential, though.
Lots of potential, yeah. And geraniums, the geraniums are on sale too, so they're $1.79 each. And we've got some really good deals going on for not just plants, but we've got sprayers on sale, we've got gloves on sale, we've got soil building conditioners on sale. So we've got a little bit of everything you need to get outside and do some planting. And it looks a little threatening right now, but it looks like we're going to have sunny skies this afternoon. So
It's right around the corner.
It's going to be nice. Yeah, it's going to be nice. It was even a tiny bit icy at my house. So I went out on the deck, and that rain from last night, there was a couple little spots that were a little bit slick. So that's how it works out. If you'd like to join our conversation here on the Garden Guide, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. So one of the products we've got on sale right now, Daniel, is the Tree and Shrub Drench from Fertilome. Perfect time to put that on right now.
Absolutely. I would say the majority of the customers I talked about that have been using the product for years. I mean, they've all got testimonials.
Right.
My neighbors are having issues, but I'm safe. I'm fine.
Yeah.
So
Had a gentleman in yesterday. I think we were both talking to him, and he's like, I've been using this product for 10 years.
That's right.
And my trees are perfect, and all my neighbors have died.
It's unfortunate, but yes, that's exactly right. So share the information with your neighbors. Let them know that the trees help us all.
Yeah, yep. And he was trying to prevent boars in his Quakies.
That's correct.
And so he's been using the Tree and Shrub Drench for boar activity in Quakies, and it works in ash, and it works in lilacs, and it works in a lot of other trees that get boars, and it does just a great job.
And such an easy product to use, and you only have to do it once a year. It's it's not a burden at all. It's really great.
Aphids. It's amazing for aphids, and we've had a lot of birch tree owners who've used it for leaf miners. Really does a great job on leaf miners. Gall, great for controlling gall and honey locusts. We see that in the honey locusts a lot, where it kind of balls up the leaves. And also in spruce, really is an amazing product. And it's as easy as get the product, need a little bit of water, and a 5-gallon bucket.
Very simple.
And
very
that's
simple.
It.
Yep. So
just pour it on the ground around the tree.
That's right. I mean, it's amazing the little bit of prevention, how far that goes. I mean, when you tell people it's a once a year thing, it's almost like they don't believe you. And anyway,
no,
that's what we're there for.
I was down in Salt Lake with a friend the other day, and we pulled into a parking lot, and we were pulling under a tree, and she's like, "Oh, that tree's going to drip sap on me." And I was like, I don't think the aphids are out yet, but that's like one of the great indicators that you've got aphids in your tree, is like saps dripping out of the tree, because they're having a snack. And the Tree and Shrub Drench will take care of that, so you just don't have that problem. You don't have the leaves all curling up. You don't have shiny, sticky leaves all summer. And I mean, usually when the aphids are going to town, there's other insects that come as well too.
Yeah,
to partake of the feast.
Knocks out all those chewing and sucking insects. So
really does a great job.
And it works. It works all the time. It works while you're sleeping. So
yeah, and that's the best. That's the best kind of worker there is, as far as I'm concerned. So pre-emergence, they work while you're asleep. Tree and Shrub Drench, do the thing. One application and you're done. Jason, you said we had a phone call already.
We do. We have Todd with a couple of questions.
All right. Good morning, Todd. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning, guys. How you doing this morning?
We are doing great.
I'll tell you, it's nice and sunny where I am.
Well, it's going to be sunny here too, so there.
Well, I agree. We'll double measure, right? Okay, Mark. Okay, you taught me on that one. You're good. You're good.
So what's up, Todd?
Hey, I wanted to echo about the Tree and Shrub Drench. With our 2 trees and our park strips, it seems like every July before we use that, we had sap and all that crap all over our sidewalks, what down where we live. And we started using that, and the neighbors came over and they go, "You have no leaves and sap on your sidewalks. What are you using?" And I told them that. I told them what I was using, and I don't know if every neighbor in our neighborhood is using that, but the neighbors to the north of us are using that, and they go, thank you for the present. So,
that's right. Thanks for spreading the word.
Yeah, it's such a great product.
You're welcome.
Yep, such a great
product. And I'm glad it works on the lilacs. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because we had an issue with the lilac disease a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And we haven't done that yet.
Yeah, so lilac borers, and then the one that we always had problems with were locust, like twisty baby locust and the purple robe locust, because the borers just really, really go after those, and it works great on those twisty babies. So
Yeah, because we really didn't notice that until a couple of years ago, and I told my wife, I go, we need to get some of that, tree and shrub rinse for the lilac. And she goes, oh, well, let's see what happens. And, well, sure enough, we had that happen to us. So. But maybe your counterpart can tell me a little bit about the over the top. It seems like I misread the label, how to use that, or I'm not patient enough to see the effects of it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those products that takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of persistence to really get it to work, and you got to use it correctly too.
Yeah, and
right.
That's by far one of the most important products to be using a surfactant. So at Anderson's, Mark's got the spreader sticker sitting right next to the over the top. That's really what's going to be the catalyst to make that product work a lot better. And you're right, you do need some patience. Grasses are a little different. They don't really show signs of death until the root zone is dead. We're so used to spraying those broadleaf weeds, and we see them start to melt almost right before our eyes. But grasses are they're going to take a little while. They're going to take a week to, possibly even up to 2 weeks, depending on temperatures outside, to really start showing signs that they're reacting to the product. Just be patient, and it'll happen for you. But be sure to use that spreader sticker. It goes a long way, and really makes a lot of products work a lot better. But over the top is one of those that it's almost a necessity.
Yep, and that's what we recommend to people is make sure you mix it with the spreader sticker. We're using equal amounts, 1 ounce of each, and then we're spraying once a week for at least 2 weeks, and sometimes it takes a third. But you want the grass to be actively growing. I don't think it has a temperature limitation on as long as the grass is actively growing.
That's correct. Yeah, and typically I'm looking for that sometime around when temperatures are in the 60s. But if we're wanting to try to knock it out a little bit early, just realize hey, it may take a little longer.
It's going to take a little longer. Yeah. But it does. It goes down and kills that root system out first, and then once the root system's gone, the grass starts to yellow up, and you just grab it and it just pulls right out super easy. So.
Okay, so I shouldn't be too concerned when my wife asked me to go spray the grass and it hasn't killed yet. I should say, just be careful. I already did.
Yep, and then say,
wait a minute.
And it's I'm going to spray it again, and then a week after that, it's probably going to be just about dead. So.
I just don't want to be rude, but I guess she doesn't have patience or something like that.
Multiple applications are the key, Todd. So multiple applications.
Okay.
So.
Another question, I have a couple of your products since I haven't been to the open house. The difference between weed-free zone and weed out.
So
great question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, great question.
So I always tell people it's kind of a good, better, best scenario. You've got your 2,4-Ds, and those are good. They're inexpensive, and you can do large pieces of land with them. Then you've got your weed outs, which contain Trimec, and that's going to be a little bit better. You've got 3 herbicides in there. Weed-free zone is going to be 4 herbicides in one, and this is by far your best selective herbicide. But the biggest thing that's going to make the difference is that temperature rating. Yeah. The weed out and the 2,4-D are going to be best used above 60. Weed-free zone is the only one that's labeled for 40 and above.
Yeah.
And we want consistent temperatures in that. So those 4 herbicides, the Carfencer zone and the weed-free zone, like I said, working down to 40 really sets it apart from the others. So.
Yep. Awesome product, and we try and tell people the same thing, good, better, best. But when it comes to the best, you're going to get cool temperature activity. You're going to get faster results, and it's going to kill some of the harder to kill weeds.
That's right. In the first application.
Yeah. You get a nice 70-degree day, and you spray that, and it'll curl up in 4 hours.
Yeah, really amazing product.
Watch those guys just die.
Okay.
So.
I don't need to take a lot of your time, but one more product I want to have a testimonial about is your Decimate.
Yeah.
Love the Decimate.
Yeah. New product for us, but technology's been there for a while, so yeah.
Yeah, we were up in Twin Falls up at my mother-in-law's place here about a year ago now, and they had weeds galore. I told Mark this story, and I called him and I said, "What do you want me to use?" And he goes, "I have this new product that you're going to absolutely love. It's called Decimate." And I go, "Well, I'll give it a try." So I went out there. They had hundreds of weeds everywhere. So I went out and plastered the place. Well, I went out 24 hours later, and they were all gone.
Very good.
How hot was it?
How hot was it?
Yeah, how hot was the temperature?
Oh, it was in the 90s.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
right. That's it.
Yeah, the warmer it is, the faster it works.
You know, and then what I did is I got rid of those weeds, and then we got some wood shavings and put them all over, you know, because we were getting the house ready to sell.
Made it look all tidy and nice. As I recall, I think you sent me some photos and said, "Hey, how does this look?"
And I will tell you what, that Decimate has been thing until I killed a section of the lawn.
It does a good job on the lawn too, absolutely. So it will kill the lawn and
the lawn. Yeah, the section of the lawn that I killed, it came back up. So it grew back, believe it or not. So,
so we found with
I was
gonna say we found with the Decimate that little surfactant in with that goes a long way also. So the spreader sticker really makes that react better and get even better results. So glad you had such a good experience with that, Todd.
Yeah, and I put the little blue marking in it, the blue stuff in it, so I could tell where I sprayed.
So you can see where you've sprayed.
Very
awesome.
good.
Yep, awesome.
Well, it's pretty interesting, right?
Yep.
Anyway.
Okay.
Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah,
you guys.
Todd.
I didn't mean to take your whole time up.
Nope, we are
we
good.
appreciate it.
We are good. Thanks for calling. Have a great weekend, Todd. All right. As Todd mentioned, we talked about Tree and Shrub Drench, which is on sale this weekend at Anderson's for our spring open house. And we also talked about Weed Free Zone, and we have some of that on sale as well, too.
Do.
Yeah, so some great products that we have chosen specifically for this time of year that would be helpful for gardeners out there working, especially where we've got up and down weather. That Weed Free Zone just does an amazing job, even in, today.
Yeah, you've even got the Weed Free Zone weed and feed on sale.
Yes,
so,
yeah, with the fertilizer. But
I love that fertilizer that's in it too. It does such a good job.
It's got that extra iron in there to really green the lawn up, and then the slow release nitrogen is going to break down over 8 to 10 weeks. It's going to make your lawn look really, really good for a couple months for sure. A couple months for sure. And what we've found is weeds die better when they are healthy.
That's right. You got to trick them.
So we've got some nice moisture out there, and if you fertilize the lawn and it's growing like crazy and the weeds are growing like crazy, the Weed Free Zone is going to work even better.
Boy, when I tell customers, before you kill those weeds, water them really well. And they look at me, but that's right. You want them to think everything's going great. You don't want them to know it's coming.
Yep, it's going to be sneaky and insidious is how those weed killers work. We want those plants to think they're super healthy. But when they're not healthy, they shut down. Their systems shut down, and they stop absorbing things, and they close up all their pores, and
when it's cold, when it's hot, when they're drought stressed, all of that, you want to really trick them and think everything's going great. So
and then the Weed Free Zone takes them right out. So Jason, who's up next?
We have two callers up next. First, though, Christine.
All right. Good morning, Christine. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Christine, are you there? Okay, let's try Neil.
All right. Neil, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. How are you?
Okay. So I bought you told me because I just wanted to spray over the top for a little bit. I didn't want to buy a whole big container.
Yes.
So I bought the ready mix. Does that have the surfactant or whatever you call it in there?
It does. And so you don't have to mix that in. It's just ready to use just the way it is. But do it the same way. So spray once, wait about a week. Spray again, wait about a week. If it's not turning yellow at the end of that second week, hit it one more time. But usually 2 or 3 applications about a week apart will be perfect.
Oh, great. Okay. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, Christine.
Bye-bye.
Yep. One of the best products, over the top, just in raspberries, in strawberries, in asparagus, and ground covers, and even plants that look like grass, like iris and daylilies.
Yeah, I tell you, when people see the ominous weeds they have to pull, grasses are just the worst.
The worst, yeah.
And when you tell them, hey, I got something that can kill those grasses and not hurt your broadleaf plants, boy, that is just, it'll just make their day.
It does. Because you try and pull the grass out, and if it's got an established root system, it just doesn't come out.
Yeah.
It just won't come out. And so you just end up tearing the tops off, and then it just comes right back.
And let's face it, grassy weeds just aren't as fun to pull. I love pulling a good broadleaf weed,
exactly.
getting that root, and it's so satisfying.
See the root come out.
Yeah, but grasses are just, boy, they're a pain.
Unless they're puncture vine.
Oh, that's right.
We don't like the puncture vine.
No, we don't.
It's gotten bad here in Cache Valley.
I talked to 2 customers about that yesterday.
It's nasty.
Yeah, it's rough.
So burr buttercup, puncture vine, and a lot of people call them goat's heads.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the name of it, and then I started talking about it, and I said, it could puncture your bicycle tires. And then immediately I was like, puncture vine.
Yep. And we found it'll go right through the sole of flip flops.
Oh,
they're long enough; it'll go right through the flip flops. And then when you get stung by one, and it just burns like crazy.
Well, and if you got kids or grandkids playing out in the yard, it's
not fun.
That's
right. Even the pets, it'll get the dog's paws and stuff. So, Jason, is Neil still out there?
That was my fault, by the way. That was Christine. Then now we have Neil. And then another Christine behind Neil.
All right.
All
awesome.
right, Neil.
Yes, can you hear me?
We got you. Good morning, Neil.
Okay. We have it's probably 20, 25-year-old long needle pine tree, and the last couple of years it just hasn't been a real happy camper, I guess is a good way to describe it. Our neighbors have one exactly the same. Theirs is deep green, really healthy. Ours is light green, and I'm not really sure what's going on, but in listening to your show today, I got a couple of questions. The first one is the tree drench. Is that something that can be used on this pine tree to possibly help what the matter with it is?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We have a lot of customers who use it for pine bark beetles, and it does a great job on those, but it also works really well on like spruce gall, so it's excellent for any of your larger evergreens. And basically all you have to do is take a tape measure and measure the trunk from, the circumference of the trunk, about 12 to 18 inches off the ground. Is that usually what you recommend?
If it's a tall tree, I might say between waist and chest height. But if it's smaller, then 18 inches is good.
About there. Just so measure the trunk circumference, and then use 1 ounce of the product for every inch of circumference. Throw it in a 5-gallon bucket, fill it up with water. Water the tree with it right around the base of the trunk, and it'll absorb that insecticide up and run it all the way through the tree. So it's really for insects. And one thing that we have done is we've done some fertilizers and some fertilizer applications in with it as well too. Mm-hmm. And so that really helps as well. If your tree's kind of yellow, you might be iron deficient.
Okay. Can you use tree treats on pine trees?
Oh, absolutely.
Or is that just for like fruit?
Yeah, no, the tree treats are excellent for the pine trees. Timing is kind of critical. If you do it at the wrong time in the spring, you'll get a lot of sap leaking out of your trees. And so you want to make sure and do it at the right time. I try and do mine as early as possible, like in March. We were out doing implants in our trees in March because I've got a couple flowering pear that get iron deficient, and they're close to a patio and they're close to a deck, and so it's really hard to get the iron on the ground around the tree so they can pick it up properly because there's just not really great access to the root system. And so the tree treats work great, and just drill those small holes right into the tree, put the implants in, cover them up with a little pruning sealer, and away you go. So those would be 2 great options to use on your pine tree if it's struggling, because the tree treats are going to give it all the nutrition that it needs, and then the tree and shrub drench is going to control any insects that might be bothering it.
So is it too late in the spring to use the tree treats?
Right now I think you'd be great. Yeah, leaves are just barely starting to come out on stuff, and flowers are just starting to hit. If you haven't seen Center Street, all the cherries on Center Street are in bloom. It looks awesome. So all the trees are starting.
And then one other thing I was wondering, one of our drain spouts goes down and empties like pretty close to the base of that tree. Is there a possibility that it's been getting too much water because of, all the water that's been coming off the roof for that?
That is a possibility, but if you do have it in a spot where the drain comes off and it does get a lot of water all at once, it can kind of leach some of your nutrient out, and so that might be why your tree's struggling a little bit. Maybe it's lacking a little nitrogen, lacking a little iron, maybe some other micronutrients. So that's where the tree treats will really make a big difference for you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
You are so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, Neil. Have a great weekend.
You too.
All right. We'll see you.
Next up, the second Christine.
All right. Here we go. Good morning, Christine. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
I thought that was so funny when he said we lost Christine because I was dialing your phone number and it didn't work. That was funny.
And we even knew who it was that was calling. Yeah, it's amazing.
That was what's so funny. You were talking about it a little bit, and I missed it. My daughter has those puncher vines. You know, you ride your bike across them, and the next thing you know, you got a flat tire. And I got some out front in that path that the city's supposed to own.
Yes.
But I didn't hear what you said to use.
We hadn't really talked about anything particular. So if there's grass there, do you have grass there? Or is it just...
Say that one more time,
please.
please.
Do you have grass in that area? Do you not want to kill the grass and you want to kill the puncture vine? Or are you okay with it kills like everything?
My daughter has grass. I have weeds.
So you do have options then. So the products that we have been talking about that Todd called in would work great. The Decimate, if you want to kill like everything, or Kills All would work really well. So we have both of those. So you got the High Yield Kills All, or you got the Fertilome Decimate, and they are two different products. So if you're concerned about using Roundup type products, the Decimate is not a Roundup type product. It's completely different chemistry, and it does an amazing job on broadleaf weeds, and it works really well on grasses as well too. And it biodegrades faster out of the soil. 24 hours, Daniel?
It's pretty quick, yeah.
24 to 48 hours is going to biodegrade out of the soil, so you can plant right back in there. Like when Todd said, he sprayed up at his in-laws' place, killed all the weeds, and then took those all out, put some bark and mulch down. He could have planted right back in there, 24 to 48 hours afterwards. But it's going to kill everything that you spray it on.
When you was talking about the weed-free zone, that was for something else.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would be for if it's growing in your lawn and you want to make sure not damage your lawn. That'll kill the puncture vine and not harm your grass.
Yeah. And I was just at one of my friend's house a couple of weeks ago, and he had puncture vine popping up in his parking strip, just like you've mentioned. And it wasn't flowering yet, but it was like starting to form buds. And I was just like, you got to get that sprayed right now, because if not, you're going to have kids running through there, and they're going to have little spines stuck to their feet. And the weed-free zone would be amazing. Yeah, do a great job.
So yeah, we could buy a weed-free zone and use that. We both have dogs. Will it bother them?
Keep the dogs off for as much time as it takes for it to dry. So I have 2 dogs and I have 2 cats at home too. We have a lot of pets at the Anderson Ranch, and we have about 13 deer as well too. So those we don't keep on a leash though. So we spray in the evening when everybody's gone in for the night. So just as the sun's getting ready to go down, everybody inside will spray. We got all that time from when we spray till the next morning. Then everybody can go out and have a good time, and it's already dry and ready to go. So that works great, Christine.
Okay, so the weed-free zone would be the best option.
That would be a great option.
Okay, not a better best option.
That would be the best, yeah. But the puncture vine's actually pretty easy to kill, and so any of your broadleaf weed killers will work on it. But the weed-free zone works better in cooler temperatures. It works faster, and it kills the hardest to kill stuff.
And you've got it on sale.
Yeah, and it's on sale this weekend. So
in my shed. And then I will know what to get. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much for calling. Have a great weekend. All right. Do we need to take a break at the bottom of that? We're kind of past the bottom of the hour, but
we do. And then on the other side of that, we have one more caller, Tammy.
Awesome. So if you'd like to join our conversation, we're talking weeds, we're talking trees, we're talking fertilizers. I've got Daniel here from VPG, which is Fertilome and High Yield and Natural Guard. We're trying to answer all your questions, help you be successful out in your yard. If you want to call in, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
With your KVNU News update here at the bottom of the hour, I'm Will Feelwright. The news this hour brought to you by Logan Extermination. The investigation into a crash that involved 2 Black Hawk helicopters earlier this year has been completed, with the estimated cost of damages totaling over $9 million. It was back on February 22nd that the 2 Black Hawks with the 2nd General Support Aviation Battalion, 211th Aviation Regiment, were involved in a winter mountain training accident near Mineral Basin. Luckily, nobody was injured in the accident. New information information from the Utah National Guard reports that during the investigation, it was learned that as the two helicopters approached the landing zone, the trail aircraft entered whiteout conditions and the pilot could not determine his position in relation to the helicopter landing zone. As the helicopter landed, it drifted to the right, causing it to roll to its side. The main rotor blades broke apart and a piece hit the other helicopter. Now, the other helicopter went into a catastrophic mechanical failure, according to the investigation. The pilot was able to safely land the aircraft after completing a full spin. The investigation board found the cause of the accident was to be human error on the part of the pilot of the second aircraft, and the board also found the actions of the first aircraft's pilot to be commendable in being able to land the aircraft in the whiteout conditions despite the mechanical failure of his engine. And a crew of firefighters from Weber County are in Arizona now helping to battle the wildfires there that have already scorched thousands of acres. Fox 13 reports the Weber Fire District's Wildland Division sent a crew this week to help battle the blazes. Well, we're looking at cold temperatures to continue through the weekend with some scattered showers still possible as this storm moves out of the area. Temperatures are expected to stay in the low 50s as we head into next week. I'm Will Feelright for KVNU News.
From ABC Sports. Hi, everybody. I'm Todd Ent. A trio of NBA Game 3s last night in the Big Easy. It was the Suns' DeAndre Ayton setting a career best.
Gives it to Ayton under the hoop from the two-hand flush, and D.A. hangs on the rim. He's got 28 on the night, a new career playoff high for the big fella.
On 98.7 FM, Arizona's sports station, Ayton and Chris Paul both had 28, with 19 of Paul's points coming in the final frame, and the Suns edge New Orleans 114-111. They take a 2-1 series lead. In Atlanta, Trae Young erased his early series woes, hitting a clutch floater to give the Hawks a 111-110 lead over Miami with 4.4 to play. The Hawks held on to cut the Heat series lead to 2-1. Young, the leading points getter for Atlanta, had 24. And in Chicago, the Bulls had no answer for Milwaukee. They fall to the Bucks 111-81. This is ABC Sports.
NMLS 1817019.
Zero. That's the amount of closing costs you'll pay with Lendrite Mortgage's Freedom Loan. How can we do this? You'll pay enough interest over the life of the loan that we don't need to charge you thousands in upfront costs like every other lender does. Instead, Lendrite gives you up to $12,000, which covers all of your closing costs and then some. Compare the Freedom Loan to the rate and fees you'd pay with any other lender. I guarantee you'll like what you see. If you're buying, get a 30-year APR as low as 4.5% and pay no closing costs with the Freedom Loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightemortgage.com. Say no to closing costs. Get a Freedom Loan. Call 801-APPROVE or visit lendrightemortgage.com.
Sabores has moved. Yes, Sabores has moved to a new location, 185 East, 1250 North, behind the mall into the former Coquitos location. All of your favorite dishes on Sabores International menu are now in a new home. It's a bigger location with better space and more access. Bring your friends, say hello, and try something new, something unique and flavorful from Sabores' popular international menu. Sabores in a new location. Starting now, you'll find them at 185 East, 1250 North, behind the mall. Sabores.
The Garden Guide with Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
We are back here at the Garden Guide. We had a nice little break. We got to visit about traffic and all kinds of things. Jason just has all kinds of information to share with us.
My head is full of useless trivia.
So that was fun. But we are here to talk about gardening. And what a great weekend to be outside. We got some rain yesterday and last night. Sun's going to come out. It looks like we got some great weather for next week. No major frost events in the forecast as far as I can see, which is great going into May. So we're ready to get out there and do some planting. Early crops can go in. All your early crops can go in. So we're not talking just peas and spinach and lettuce and radishes and onions, but carrots and chard and beets and potatoes and parsnips. They can all be planted right now. And we do have a lot of flowers that are tolerant of a light frost. So, geraniums can handle a light frost. Petunias can handle a light frost. Marigolds cannot handle a light frost. So if you're buying those at Anderson's this weekend, because we have some gorgeous marigolds in stock, and we have a coupon for a full flat. It's a really great deal on the full flat. You may be unhappy if we have frost right before Mother's Day if you plant those outside, but some of our other plants can handle it. And we've got some great sales going on for our spring open house. It is our 80th anniversary, birthday, whichever way you want to go, at Anderson Seed and Garden. We've been here in the Valley for 80 years. So we started in 1942, and so it's our 80th birthday this year, and we are celebrating, and we've got some great sales going on. And Daniel from VPG is here. We've been talking tree and shrub drench. We've been talking grass killer. We've been talking weed-free zone and a little bit of fertilizer. Great conversation.
Yeah, good time to get started.
It is. If you want to join our conversation, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. And it sounds like we got another caller, Jason.
We do. Tammy on the line.
Right. Good morning, Tammy. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Doing great.
Or Mark.
Yes.
I called you Mike. You're Mark.
That's all right. That's what my daughter calls me that from time to time, just to be rude.
I'm sorry for that.
That's okay. She doesn't listen to the garden show, so we can say whatever we want. So it's all
she's
all
not
good.
going to know that.
Yeah, she does it. She does it as a joke because I do have people that come in and call me Mike, and she's like, "Oh, I know. Mike is such a great. He's so helpful.
She'd have gotten a kick out of that.
So she laughs. She
similar.
also calls me Mr. Councilman, and she's the only one. So. So, good morning, Tammy.
I've got several questions. I have noticed my forsythia is absolutely gorgeous this year, but I've noticed some of my neighbors, theirs aren't even blooming. They're just not very pretty. They almost look dead even. I'm wondering what's going on with the forsythia.
The forsythia were really getting close to blooming when we had those low temperatures a couple of weeks ago. And they could have been popping open, and it might have damaged the blossoms. And so that is a good possibility. I mean, we have a lot of fruit growers over on the other side of the mountains that have been concerned about their fruit because it got into the low 20s and even into the teens and possibly did some damage. May have had that happen with the forsythia also. And so some trees are really slow blooming this year. I mean, here we're the 23rd of April, and some are just barely starting to throw flowers out. And so we're definitely blooming a little bit late this year. Soil's a little bit colder, and so they might still bloom. And it just depends on the location. So like my parents have a forsythia, gorgeous forsythia in their backyard, but it's in a kind of a shadier spot, and so it's always a little bit slower to bloom. It has not bloomed yet. And so if it's out in full sun and it's getting the nice southern exposure, it could be blooming right now. So it could be location, it could be frost, I would suspect. But they're really hardy. They won't die even with a really cold winter. And our winter wasn't really cold, but we just had some odd periods of really cold temperatures right after really warm temperatures. And so it killed all the blossoms on my dogwood. So I've got no blossoms on my dogwood this year, which is a bummer because it's so gorgeous when it blooms. But my magnolia came through just fine. So except for the deer ate half the blossoms off of it. So yeah, dumb deer. So
yeah. That sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not very nice. Yeah, it's not very nice. So
another question: the tree and shrub drench. Is it possible that I could just put that in a hose end sprayer and spray my whole yard with that?
The tree and shrub drench is a systemic insecticide, and the drench is made for pouring onto the ground, and it's got some soil penetrants in it. It's got some additives to make it work through the soil a little bit better. We do have a spray that is a systemic insecticide that comes in a hose end, doesn't it? Yeah, and it comes in a hose end, and you can just hook that in the hose and go ahead and spray everything, anything ornamental, right?
Yeah, that can be absorbed through the foliage. Yep, yeah. And we want to stick to ornamentals.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No edibles on the label for that one, but
and what is that called?
It's made by High Yield. Is it High Yield or is it from?
High Yield.
It's a High Yield product, and it is called Systemic Insect Spray, and it comes in a hose end sprayer. So it's a quart sprayer with a hose end attachment on it, and spraying it on the leaves, you're going to get about 4 to 5 weeks of control out of it, and if you do the drench, it will last longer, especially on trees and shrubs. But 4 weeks is amazing insect control, especially systemic, where it's absorbed into the plant. So,
and if you're doing the spray, be sure to spray early morning, late evening, not during the day. Don't want to spray when there's bee activity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Evening's my favorite. Yeah, because then the bees go home for the night, and then you spray, and then by the time it dries the next day, the bees are out. Won't bother them. So
that's it.
Okay. Also, my other question is the crabgrass killer that you put on your lawns right now I'm not really sure what crabgrass is. Is that like the pasture grass, the thicker bladed flat grass?
No.
Is that what crabgrass is?
No. Crabgrass is an annual grass, and it drops its seed all over, the general location where it's at, and it drops a lot of seed. And so in the fall, the crabgrass will die out. It'll be completely gone the next spring, except for maybe some little dead stems there. And then it will germinate in May, especially around here. It germinates mostly in May, sometimes a little bit into June, depending on what the soil temperatures are. And then you get a new crop of it that comes back up. And so the pasture grasses that we see in lawns right now, there's a lot of it out there because we've all built our homes in old pastures, and so there's a lot of it in most everyone's lawn. That is a perennial grass, and so it just comes back from root system every single year. It doesn't die out, and it's very aggressive. It spreads. It's really clumpy. It's taller. It's a thicker blade. It's lighter color. Very coarse. You walk on it, it's like really prickly. The crabgrass killer won't work on that. It just won't kill it. And a pre-emergent won't stop it either because it's coming up from root system instead of from seed. So the very big.
You pretty much just have to spray it with Roundup and kill it off.
Yeah, very big difference. So when you come into the store next time, come in. I've got some nice pictures of the crabgrass, what it looks like, and how to identify it. But for the most part, crabgrass shows up in your park strip. And it shows up right along the driveway, and it can spread out to other parts of the lawn if you don't ever get it under control. But for the most part, most of it's coming in off the road. When they sand the road, salt the road in the wintertime, there's usually all kinds of weed seeds in there with it, and then it gets into your lawn. Then all of a sudden, boom! If your grass isn't really healthy and thick, you can get weeds coming up in spots all over the place.
And that's where a lawn fertilizer with a pre-emergent's really helpful.
Yeah.
But you do sell the pre-emergent by itself as well. So
yes.
if you've already put a fertilizer out, you can get the pre-emergent by itself.
Yep, and it works on turf, and it works in ornamental areas as well, too, and it'll stop all those weeds from coming up. So we've got a couple pre-emergents on sale this weekend for our spring open house as well, too. So our Treflan, our weed and grass stopper granules work great around vegetables, flowers. You can't use that one on turf. We'd switch to Dimension. We'd use the Dimension on the turf. But for a lot of your ornamentals, those are great options, and we can stop that crabgrass before it starts to germinate.
Okay, my last question. I bought a small bottle of pulverized, but I left it out on my front porch this winter, so I'm sure it got froze. But I'm wondering, is that no good now, or do you think it will still work?
It will still work. It's not a chemical. It's not the same chemistry as some of the herbicides. It's potassium salts of fatty acids, and I don't know if it has a temperature restriction. Do you know the Fertilome or the Natural Guard product? Does it have a freeze warning if it gets frozen, if it's still?
I'm not too sure, but I know a lot of those products when they freeze, they separate and they don't really go back into suspension. But I'm not sure about that one.
I don't think it will because the Natural Guard product is the same thing as the pulverized, and I don't think it has a frost warning on the box. Usually, if it's something that you really, really, really don't want it to freeze, it will say on the box, do not freeze. I don't remember seeing that on the product, so
it might be one of those things we might need you to do a little test.
A little check on it. Yeah, I'll have to find out. So I don't know for sure, but I am fairly confident that it should still work for you. And I will check into that and find out. I don't remember if it does. So good question, Tammy.
All right. Thank you, Mark.
You're so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, and you have a wonderful weekend.
You do also.
All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, we've got a few minutes left in the show. If you want to call in, I've got Daniel here with Fertilome and High Yield. We're answering questions. And 753-5868, 753-KVNU. You got a few minutes to call in if you got any questions. So what else have we had? have not talked about on the show.
Quite a few of my questions yesterday were people who had just moved into town, and they either have they're taking over lawns that maybe were neglected in the past, or maybe this is a project they've been putting off for years and finally starting to tackle it. And everybody wanted to know, I've got, they felt like they had poor soil. Maybe they had a lot of clay. Maybe they had a, whatever issue. Talked a lot about gypsum with them.
Right. Yeah.
Talked a lot about humic with them. Everybody thinks about feeding the lawn. God, I need to get my lawn care program out to feed that grass. But they forget about feeding the soil. And so did a lot of talk about humic, did a lot of talk about gypsum, helping break up that hard, compact soil.
Yeah.
No plant wants to grow in concrete, well, except maybe a dandelion, but
or a puncture vine.
Yeah, or puncture vine. But they want some healthy, viable soil to grow in. And as soon as those roots hit that hard soil, they go sideways.
Yeah.
We want them to go down. We want them to be self-sufficient. So lots of customers with questions about that.
And the humic does such a great job. It's like the one product that we've been selling for at least 30 plus years at Anderson's, and it just makes such a huge difference in the soil structure. It puts the nutrient and the micronutrients and the minerals back into the soil, builds that microbial activity.
And you can use it everywhere. You can use it in your vegetable garden. You can use it in your lawn. I mean, it's really a great product.
Every time I have customers that come in, they're like, I'm building raised beds. I want to put some good soil in there. We recommend some different soil combinations for them. And then the next thing that I recommend is we're going to put some humic in there because we got to add some minerals. We got to add some micronutrients. We're going to put microbes and microorganisms in there, and your plants are going to just like go crazy. And that's what makes a difference. And then we have our compost tea brewing right now too, which is even more full of microbes and microorganisms.
I saw a lot of people picking that up yesterday as well. Yeah,
I know the compost tea is amazing. We're brewing it 24/7 now. It's ready to go, and I've got 1 gallon and 2.5 gallon containers. And you buy a container, get free refills until about mid-August is how it always works with our compost tea program. So we can talk about that as well too. We were able to get a caller to sneak in, weren't we, Jason?
We were. One more probably. Mark.
All right. Good morning, Mark. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning. Yeah, I just had a question about using like a pre-emergent, like Cazaron, on like asparagus and raspberries, where they both don't germinate from seed. If that's safe to use on them.
So the Cazaron is safe to use on anything that is woody. So if it's got bark on it, or if it's a cane like a rose or a raspberry or a grape, it's safe to use on those plants. It won't bother those at all, but it'll basically kill everything else. Had a customer in yesterday, and she was asking about the Cazaron, how to use that. And I had another customer standing right there next to her, and she's like, I'm not sure if I'm going to use it. And the other customer just goes, it's my favorite product. It's the best. I can put it in my raspberries. I don't have to touch them for the rest of the year. It kills the morning glory, kills everything. It's like I didn't even have to sell the product. It was already sold by another customer. It would kill your asparagus. And so don't use the Cazaron in the asparagus. It's going to kill the asparagus. It'll kill bulbs. It'll kill morning glory. It'll kill grasses, but it won't hurt woody plants. And so as long as they've got that bark on them, as long as they're a cane, they're okay.
And so if the raspberries coming up now aren't woody yet, obviously, would that affect
it could damage those, yeah. So on the label, it will say, make sure you get the Cazaron on before the new shoots come up for the year, or wait until after those new shoots start to turn brown, when they start to get that cane, that woody appearance, and then you can use it a little bit later. And so right now, it might be a little touchy to use because it could damage some of that new growth. And we want that new growth coming up because that's what's going to produce berries for us, either next year or this fall. And so we don't want to damage that new growth. But, wait until those new shoots coming up are starting to go woody, and then you can use the Cazaron on them again.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, Mark. All right. Spring open house going on at Anderson Seed and Garden. Got some great sales on plants. Hanging baskets are on sale. Strawberries are on sale. We've got herbs, 4-inch herbs are on sale, and full flats of whatever flower you want to pick out. We've got a coupon in our flyer that has that in there. Sprayers. We've got all kinds of Fertilome and high yield products. Iron Plus, great for raspberries and strawberries and all kinds of other things. And Kills All Extended. We haven't talked about that on the show, but that's on sale too. So watch for that flyer. Came in the mail this week. If you didn't get one, we probably have some extras at the store, and we'll have you taken care of. Daniel, thank you for being on the show today.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It's always great to have you here. We always have wonderful phone calls and excellent questions and great conversation.
It's all about sharing the knowledge. That's right.
It really is. And we had a blast yesterday. I mean, it really was fun. I was expecting not as many people with the weather. I mean, it was really not.
We had a great crowd.
It was not great weather, and then we just had a steady flow of people coming through. And like you said, we were able to spend time with everybody that wanted to stay and visit and ask questions and really help them resolve their problems.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, that's really great. Jason, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm just over here taking notes the whole hour.
And answering the phone.
I notice that when I'm talking with the customer, I see others standing around.
Writing it down.
That's the question I had.
And answering the phone. So just a heads up for all the listeners, we do not have a shortage of seeds this year. There is high demand for plants this year. And so it's not that we're not going to have certain things, but when we run out of some stuff, there won't be more. So right now we are to the point where what onion plants we have in stock, there are no more to be had. So if you want to get onion plants, whether it's Candy or Dulce Grande or Big Daddy, you better come get them, because I tried to order some more for next week and they are completely out. And that's kind of the way it's going to be for certain plants this year. Some fruit trees already gone for this year. Some shrubs already gone for this year. So just if you see something and you really want it, you better grab it, because the next time you come in, it's probably not going to be there. But we're loading the greenhouse back up again. We got amazing plants right now. Great sales going on. Come see us at Anderson Seed and Garden for our spring open house. Daniel will be there this morning. We'll be answering your questions. Thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week with the Garden Guide.
News Talk KVNU, Logan, 610 AM and 102.1 FM. The power of information.